Welcome to the Nerd Party.
They can travel anywhere in time and space.
Off we go into time and space.
So all of time and all of space is sitting out there.
Welcome to Time and Space, one married couple's adventure through the Doctor Who universe. I'm Jessica Nunn.
And I'm her never-leaving companion, Phillip Gilfus.
You know, I think sometimes it's okay for you to leave.
Fine. We'll wait till after the podcast.
Okay. All right. So you're my never-ending until the podcast ends.
And then I'll slam the door angrily.
Okay. And by the podcast ending, you do just mean this episode, right?
We'll see how your attitude goes.
Okay.
So it's a new month. I mean, we've done some May stuff, but new month means, of course,
a new Doctor. Which Mr. Doctor? Mr. Doctor. A new Mr. Doctor.
Yeah, so we had Dr. Fifth's story.
Yes.
Which featured Nyssa and Tegan and Adric and the Master.
Yes.
And a trip to the supermarket.
Obviously. And they get stuck in the supermarket freezer.
Right.
Which the Master does. And they manage to, and then when they get out of the freezer, there's a big maze that the Master has set up that he thinks they'll never escape from. Mm-hmm. But fortunately, they have the power of...
Well, the Doctor gives peace a chance. I mean, peas.
They have the power of frozen peas. They leave a trail. They manage to escape.
So spoilers on that one.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yes.
Hashtag spoilers.
All right. We also listened to another Big Finish production. Phobos.
An Eighth Doctor adventure.
Yes. Yeah. How did you enjoy that?
Yeah, I liked that one. Again, I really like Sheridan Smith. I like the ones that are compacted, relatively brief. We listened to it this morning. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I enjoyed the idea of it.
Yeah, just nice, interesting that the monster turned out to be not the real monster, but there were other monsters that were good guy, but not good guy monsters, but good intention monsters. So anyway, it was a good episode.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So worth listening to. And I'm looking forward to, because it led into the idea that...
someone's looking for Lucy.
Somebody's looking on the hunt for Lucy. So looking forward to the next one on that one.
Sure.
Right, so we are talking today about that old Boys to Men song.
The End of the Road?
Not that one, no.
Oh.
Does that conclude your knowledge of Boys to Men songs? Okay, all right, then I will take pity on you. It's so hard to say goodbye to companions, which I think is exactly I think that was the original version anyway, and Boys to Men covered it and changed it a little bit.
Oh, Yesterday.
To Yesterday, yeah. No, they did it ages ago, though.
Right.
Yeah, back in the 90s. So
that's ages ago.
It is, darling. I hate to tell you this, but it really is. 20 years ago, darling, was the 90s. So, yeah. Anyway, let's not talk about that anymore. Anyway, it's always hard to say goodbye. But just like the Doctor always regenerates, so the Time Lord's various companions leave us. Whether it's moving on to real life, being sucked into another dimension, or death, there are many ways the companions leave life in the TARDIS. And we'll be talking about those goodbyes and more.
That's right. So I guess might as well just go in order.
Jump straight in.
Obviously, there have been lots and lots of companions. I wonder how many companions there have been. If someone has done the count, because I guess, do you count the ones that were there for an episode or two or whatever? But I wonder if there's a definitive number of agreed-upon companion number.
Canon companions, as it were. And do you count, now the Doctor Who shall not be named.
Right.
Did he have companions?
I'm sure, surely.
So... Don't call me Shirley.
Right.
But do we count his companions? If we don't count him, it's all very... And then do we count the radio companions?
That's true. You're right. Yeah. All the Eighth Doctors.
Yeah, the Eighth Doctor ended up with lots of companions, it appears. So
Well, so we won't be talking about them all. I guess we'll focus on...
We'll skip all that.
We'll focus on nuWho for the most part, but I'm sure we may go into some classic companion dipping. But I guess let's start in order and go with Rose first.
With Rose, yes.
She had multiple goodbyes, or I guess one and then done. And because where she was sucked into another dimension.
Yes. And that's ultimately where it ends for her, but we do continue to see her.
She gets dimensional travel to the, I don't know, prime Earth, if you will, or prime timeline, when she gets to meet Donna, and you have Journey's End and all that wonderful stuff with all the companions in the TARDIS with the 10th Doctor.
Yes.
But ultimately does return to her Earth 2, or whatever you want to call it, and with the other Doctor.
With the Donna Doctor.
Yes.
Yeah, which is exciting. So yeah, that's... Ultimately, she gets sucked away and presumably is still there. So she lives.
Right.
Hooray.
Happy ending, quote unquote.
Yes, she gets the Doctor.
She has her mom and her dad.
And the Doctor.
Yeah.
Which is a little strange, but, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it is the 10th Doctor, not the 9th Doctor. I don't know how she feels about that.
Right. Apparently felt okay enough.
Apparently she felt okay enough, yeah. And then presumably went on to become a prostitute. Since I think that's her next television series is Confessions, A Diary of a Call Girl. Confessions, I think Diary of a Call Girl is her next production. So there you go.
I think Sucked into Another Dimension. I think you've heard it. You haven't seen it, but Romana too, but it's Romana, right? Is left in E-space, which I think you heard about that in the classic episode we watched casually. They're talking about getting back to E-space. So that was Romana with K9. That's where she left. Of course, we know, listening to Big Finish, eventually, somehow she must come back because she ends up being president of Gallifrey.
As you do.
Yeah.
As you do.
So at least the being sucked into another dimension is sort of, I guess, can be counted as a staple for a companion goodbye. So, you don't die, you get something of a happy ending, but you get to leave, but you just can't come back, presumably.
Yes, or you can, but just on special occasions,
right.
Like the 50th anniversary and things like that. Exactly. Although technically that was anyway.
Yeah.
But I think the benefit of something like that is that they can come back.
Mm-hmm.
And make reappearances. And I think it's always nice to see Rose reappear because she is most people's first companion.
Mm-hmm. Now, I think Martha is an interesting example because I think it's one of the few, I say that as I halt off a little bit, voluntary, just I'm going to go home. And that's it. No death, no dimensional, no turning into an alien, just drop me off on Earth.
I'm done for
Later,
a while.
Gator.
Yeah. Which is, she's definitely had enough. She's ready to move on. But then, of course, she also reappears.
Yeah.
Because she's, joined UNIT?
Yep.
So
becomes a doctor, and then eventually has a flirtation with Torchwood. There you go.
Who hasn't?
Well, that's
Let's
true.
be honest.
And, of course, eventually gets married to...
Mickey.
And then... I guess alien, still travels around space, at least, because she was being attacked by a Sontaran, and that was presumably not on Earth. But
yes, yeah. So it ends up returning to the Titan traveling world. Doesn't just go back and have a marriage and a picket fence and 2.5 children.
Right. Yeah, but that would be an interesting thing that I think Martha. They don't need to, but I'm saying Martha could return. She's with UNIT.
Absolutely.
Theoretically, could be running UNIT. Of course, I have the Brigadier's daughter is currently running UNIT, and nothing wrong with that. But could always have Martha run UNIT, and maybe one day.
Absolutely. So another one who could potentially return.
But that was sort of interesting. What did you sort of? Of course, as Martha, I guess, only had one series companion. It wasn't a multi one. Of course, I guess a few of them have been one series companions. But sort of, what did you think of her? That was good. We can, the end of the world almost with the Master and being the Prime Minister and all that. And then, she presumably spent, a year?
Yeah.
That never happened?
Yeah.
And then came back and was like, I'm good.
Yeah. And you can sort of understand it. That last little bit's pretty darn traumatic.
Mm-hmm.
So you can understand her needing a break. But I like the fact that she does come back to the fold, as it were.
Mm-hmm. Because I guess as far as...
Because she is a warrior.
It's true. As far as voluntary, this was more in a fit of pique. But Sarah Jane left. The fourth Doctor, I think he, if I remember correctly, he received a distress call from Gallifrey, and sort of they had a bit of a row, and she's left the TARDIS, and he left her, and that was it.
And never comes back, yeah.
Except that he, yeah.
Which she's quite cross about when she meets the 10th Doctor,
mm-hmm.
and really quite upset about. Oh, it's very sad. I love Sarah Jane. But again, she doesn't really go on to have a normal life because she gets
the taste
Sarah
of the
Jane,
TARDIS.
Yeah, the Sarah Jane Chronicles, and K9 gets custody of K9 somehow.
It's a version of K9.
Yeah, and so yeah, continues to have her own adventures.
Mm-hmm. But like the same thing with Martha didn't live a regular life, as you say. So
yeah.
So even though if you leave the TARDIS to go back to Earth and to your own timeline, you still kind of tend to be affected by that. There's something we haven't watched, which I hope to do in a future episode, which I think addresses this even more, especially with the Fated Companions, and that is the Sarah Jane Chronicles episode. I want to say the episode's called The Death of the Doctor, something like that. But it goes into the fate of certain companions. At least narratively, they mention it, because we see Jo Grant, who was the third Doctor's companion, and Sarah Jane, and then the 11th Doctor, and we kind of talk about how it was a little bit of discussion of companions past and what happened. So
yes, yeah. So I mean, I think you're right. Once people get a taste of the TARDIS, they can't go back to a normal life unless they have their memory of the whole time completely erased.
So Donna.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Donna.
Yeah. And it breaks my heart for her because she was living a life that she wasn't happy with. She was living a small life that she wasn't happy with. And she got to experience the bigness of life and then had her entire memory wiped and had to go back to the small. And I just find that so sad.
Yeah, because I mean, in the end, I suppose, she has a happy ending. Finds a nice gentleman, gets married, and presumably wins the lottery. So, all in all, it worked out for her. So I guess we can't complain too much, right? But she forgets her taste of the TARDIS. So presumably lives a quote-unquote normal life. So nothing to critique about that. But of course, as you say, as she sort of grew a lot with the Doctor, it's hard to take that away. It's just sort of one of those, I woke up and it's all a dream kind of endings, which are never really satisfying. But
yeah. But again, leaves her room to come back at some point. Mm-hmm. She would be great fun with the 13th Doctor. Oh, her reactions would just be priceless. Mm-hmm. Oh, that would be brilliant. I would quite love that.
Because I would be interesting if, not that but if Donna had children, to see what that would be like. Donna as mom with her husband.
Yeah, and of course we do get to see that a little bit in the...
the library episode.
Yes, yeah, the
episodes.
River Song episodes, yeah. What she looks like with children and a husband. And she doesn't marry that guy, though, does she?
Well, I mean, just in the fantasy head, they got married.
No, but I mean, because she does go off and get married, but it wasn't to him, was it?
No, because that was sort of her fantasy. Well, I guess that was a real guy.
Yeah, because at the end of that episode, she's there looking for him and doesn't find him, and the Doctor's like, "We have to go," and then you see him.
Yeah.
And he's looking for her, and
because he has a speech impediment.
Yeah, she doesn't get.
She loses a lot.
She loses a lot. Yeah, yeah, that's quite sad.
And then I think a lot with the Doctor or the 10th Doctor specials, and I can't remember the names off the top of my head. And I'm going to forget people's names. Kylie dies.
Yes. Yep.
Probably not doing these in order. The peer, the Duchess, whatever she was, ends up escaping to have further adventures. Michelle, whatever her name is.
Oh, right. Yes.
I'm trying to first think if I'm forgetting another special. Titanic. Water of Mars. Water of Mars, the woman kills herself because she's the commander of the Martian unit, and the Doctor saves her, even though history says that she dies, and he brings her back to Earth.
Oh,
and
right.
Because he's the Time Lord, victorious, or whatever, and then she kills herself.
Yeah.
To, I guess, make sure time stays the way it is, or whatever. But anyway, so a little bit more tragic tends to be in the movies. Or the specials.
Yeah, the short ones don't necessarily. Although James Corden.
Well, you're jumping ahead a lot there.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all right.
Mm-hmm.
But he survives.
Right. Yes, with his baby, Stormageddon.
With his baby, Stormageddon. He doesn't want to be called Stormageddon anymore. Don't be rude. You ready to move back to the timeline, as it were? Amy and Rory?
Amy and Rory. So that's, an interesting one. Sort of an involuntary leaving, obviously. I mean, it's not a death, obviously, right? It's stuck in the past. I mean, that's...
But they lived their lives out together to the fullest, presumably.
So,
and they still get to see River, presumably their daughter, who they never got to raise. And
if you believe the deleted scene, they have another child.
I was going to say, River Song doesn't mention it. We haven't gotten it yet. But, yeah, that would be interesting.
Well, they adopted it. That's,
That would be interesting for them to bring an offspring of really any of the companions. But somebody like Amy and Rory, who were, sent to the past. And so they would have maybe a grandson or granddaughter who could...
Well, whenever we watched Death of the Doctor, Joe Grant, her grandson's with her when in that episode, so because he interacts with the kids of Sarah Jane. So
and Sarah Jane has
adopted son,
an adopted
Luke.
son as well, who could come in. So there are lots of opportunities. Yeah, Amy and Rory is sad.
It is.
But we know
together.
They're not dead. We know they're together. We know they still get to see River Song. So,
and I guess they live per se normal lives. I mean, in 1920 or 30, whatever they were caught in. So she becomes a book publisher, I guess. So, and I don't know what Roy ends up getting on with, but they live relatively normal lives, I suppose, in the past, New York past.
Yep.
So, other than being stuck in America. So.
Yeah, these things happen.
Right. So, but another sort of saying goodbye, not being able to come back, but happy-ish ending.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah. Clara.
Yeah, that happened. I don't know. I mean, the facts, of course, are that she dies, but then the Doctor steals her away from her death timeline or death moment. And then it's presented that eventually she'll have to go back. But she has a TARDIS, so that time and space of her choosing is of her choosing.
So she, as far as we know, either she and Maisie Williams are off gallivanting through time and space, or she's finally gone back and is subsequently dead.
Well, I was going to say forgotten. Of course, that gets fixed in Twice Upon a Time, but for the most part, she was forgotten by the Doctor, but he gets his memory restored before he regenerates.
Yes. So
he remembers Clara. But yeah, see, that one, I don't know. I mean, we can... Do you think with the finality, like even a Rose or whatever, which I guess that's different, but like I said with Clara, would you have preferred she stayed dead? Or do you think it's sort of or do you think it's a cheat how they did that at the end? Or do you think it's fine to kind of go back and get that sort of happier ending?
I like the fact that they at least got the chance to say goodbye. But I do feel a little bit like it's a cheat. Yeah.
And that's my feeling. Again, I mean, even though Clara's not my favorite at the end, I'm like, oh, go ahead and kill her. I mean, you can have her leave in a different way where you don't have to kill her. But if you're gonna kill her, then kill her. I mean,
Yes, it felt a little bit namby-pamby.
Right. I mean, I get because the point was, of course, the Doctor had to go to the full end and had to be revealed that, he would end up destroying the universe, and that was why, they had to say goodbye, versus just jerking her away. But, yeah, I don't know, because you get to a moment like, and I know we're talking about the companions, not the Doctor per se, but I'm thinking of, when Amy and Rory left, the Doctor sort of was in a depression with the gang in the Christmas special. And so I think then the Doctor is the 12th Doctor's instead of a depression because he knows he lost Clara, even though he can't remember her, and that's where he meets River. again with the husbands of that story finds them. But I mean, I feel like if you're going to give the impact of the Doctor, you got to do the impact. I mean, not that I'm saying you just kill women to make the Doctor story,
kill all of it. Yeah,
but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I know the fridge phenomenon or whatever. But, yeah.
The fridge phenomenon?
Where you kill a woman character just to give growth to the male characters. That's a term of art.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why is it the fridge?
Because in the comics, I can't remember which comic book it was, the girlfriend is found dead in the freezer or the fridge.
Right.
And so...
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and, you can do it the other way around.
Yeah, because I think gender, and because even though the Doctor's always been male, but as we will discuss, their doctors have, companions have died, male and female.
Yeah.
So.
And then Bill?
Yeah, Bill, again, I don't know. Again, another, she died, but she didn't, which I felt like 2 in a row. I guess that's kind of like with Carla, okay, I felt like it was a cheat. And then you do the same thing with Bill. She dies, but she doesn't die because she's floating in water and space. I don't know.
And see, I was more okay with that because I feel like they prepped us for that from the beginning. Uh-huh. It felt natural that the water girl comes back to get her because they hadn't finished whatever they were meant to do. And so that one didn't bother me as much because it made more sense. Whether or not they meant to set us up for that from the beginning.
Yeah, and that was a question having watched the pilot again recently with Bill's first episode, and she's being sort of sucked away with her water girlfriend. The Doctor's basically like, no, and I guess the argument is, you have a life to live. Don't get sucked into the water girlfriend space and time vortex. But then I guess when she's dead or dying as a Cyberman, why not, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so like I say, I was much more comfortable with that one, I think, than I was with Clara's because it made continuity sense. So
yeah, and then because we sort of got the slow death of Bill. I mean, that was 2 episodes, but we got she gets shot pretty early on in that episode.
Yeah,
and then gets sent to Cyberland. That's pretty much been it. I mean, it's always hard when you have companions, whether it's for, it's always, are we saying goodbye because it's a story reason? Or are we saying goodbye because the actor wants to leave? And so, then how do you craft that story?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think the ultimate takeaway is it's a dangerous job being a companion.
Because, I mean, I would assume that, I'm forgetting everyone's real names, Rose, the actor. Billie Piper wanted to leave. I assume that she had put in her years.
And she had put in her years.
And so she was probably wanting to move on.
Yeah.
Martha, I don't know about Freema. Whether that was a write out, like, you've done your year, thank you very much, we're going to move on to someone else, or she's like, I'm good for my year, I'm moving on.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know any of the stories of any of the background.
Yeah, I kind of assume that Catherine Tate felt like she'd done her time.
Well, I assume that was probably mutually, because that was the end of the 10th Doctor. I mean, other than the specials, I guess, but...
Well, and she's got her own comedy show.
She's not hurting for... I'm not that I'm saying any other of them are, but...
Yeah.
At the time, Catherine
she was not hurting for work. Yeah. Amy and Rory.
I assume Karen, because that's when she was probably moving on to a movie career. So that was probably voluntarily, I assume.
Yeah. And quite possibly, felt like she'd done her time. I mean, they'd been through quite a lot. Clara had done her time.
Same thing with her, because then she picked up Victoria right afterwards.
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't know this for a fact, listener, so if you know the stories, you let me know. But just from what little I know, it just seemed like, she did her time in the TARDIS and was starting to get other things and other opportunities. And she'd done 2 series at that point. I know for the companions, I mean, 2 series is a lot, I suppose. I mean, I don't complain, but it seems that no one really goes beyond that often.
Yeah. And poor Bill.
Yeah, that was just...
She was just a casualty of the turnover, I think.
Just the fact that when Peter left, they're like, they're probably... And then with Stephen leaving, it's like, well, I guess you're leaving too.
Everything up. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to seeing Pearl Mackie and other things, because I do think she's brilliant. Mm-hmm. So, what about jumping into the TARDIS library and seeing, we've talked a little bit about some of the things that happen to old school Who companions. What are we looking at this week in the TARDIS library?
this week we're going to be looking at Earthshock, the Fifth Doctor adventure, which premiered 8 March 1982. And the reason we're going to be talking about this is because the Fifth Doctor is known for having many companions, often at the same time. But in this serial, we get the first death of a companion in a while. Not the first death of a companion ever, but it had been a while at that point, since we'd actually killed off a companion. That would be Adric.
Yep.
So now I know this is, I don't know how you felt about this. This is the first time you ever met Adric. So I don't know how powerful it was for him to die at the end, but what did you think of...
It's not his first time, though, right? I mean, it was the first time I've seen it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But it wasn't his first time. Yeah, I think the thing that made me the saddest about it was at the very beginning of that little section, he was wanting to go home. Mm-hmm. He was trying to get home, and the Doctor was sort of shrugging him off. No, not right now, kind of thing. And so that must come with its own section of regret.
Mm-hmm. He was sort of feeling ignored by the Doctor and not being mentored enough or whatever.
Yeah. And wanting to go home. And
it was one of those things, because I think sometimes you can criticize Classic Who for not doing characterization as well. I don't know, modern TV writing's a little bit different these days. Yeah, but as I was watching, I'm like, is this one of those episodes where it's like, wow, Adric's getting all these lines because, well, it's his last one, so we're gonna,
throw it all at him. And, of course, he does get the honor of destroying all the dinosaurs.
Exactly. So, but it was one of those, you can sometimes tell when a character's going to die, they suddenly start having a lot of characterization. You're like, wow, how do we know it could be like this? Maybe we want to kill them all. But,
yeah.
But, I don't know. I know, or sometimes, I won't speak for anyone. I know sometimes Adric is seen as maybe an annoying character. But I don't know. I was not either, watching this when I did in order. Because he'd been around kind of the tail end of the Fourth Doctor.
Oh, right.
And so,
okay.
Yeah. And so he'd been around a little bit, a year or two. I don't know the exact time period off the top of my head, so I'm sure Matthew Waterhouse, I can't remember if that's his name or not, whether he wanted to leave or not, but that was sort of the way that went. So, but yeah, it was, I thought it was treated well. I mean, actually, I thought this was a pretty good story.
I think I would have liked to have seen more of the Doctor having that realization of if I'd let him go home when he wanted to, kind of thing. Although that may come in subsequent episodes, because we just watched it to the end of that natural serialization.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know, because it seemed to be in the series that at some point when he finally did the calculations, he's like, I was just kidding, Doctor. I didn't really want to go home. I guess he just wanted the attention, or just wanted to show him that he could do the calculations of how to get back to E-space and all those things. So it was sort of very interesting. But I thought it's very good as a Classic Who or anyone. I mean, I think it's a standout as far as how the characters were treated and good pacing. And I was reading a little bit of the background that I forget when you finally know it's the Cybermen, whether it's the end of the first episode or the second. Maybe it's the end of the first one, but
I think so.
You really don't know it's the Cybermen when you're starting off with about who the villains are.
Yeah.
And so it's sort of a good surprise. And I was reading the background that J&T, the showrunner or executive producer in those days, whatever you want to call it, wanted to keep it a secret that it was the Cybermen. And so that was a nice reveal there. But yeah, I thought other than the ship looking like one thing, and they just ran in different ways a million times the way they were shooting.
Yeah, but that's fairly enormous. They did have a woman captain.
That's right.
On the ship,
and first officer,
which was interesting, and older women, which I guess you would be, but that was a nice touch, an early feminist.
The woman sergeant or something that got killed by the Cybermen. That was
right, yes.
And so...
Actually in the TARDIS.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. And this was sort of maybe the only time that you actually have a different closing shot of the credits. Just have Adric's broken star as the music plays.
Bless.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's. I mean, you never want to have to write a general rule, but I think it's good to have a companion death, not every year or every 2 years or every 3 years, but I mean, this is dangerous stuff. And there's this. I need to find it one day and I don't know where to find it other than to watch the episode, but it's in The Power of Three, I believe, with the 11th Doctor, and that's when Brian, Roy's dad, asks the Doctor what's happened to all his past companions, and you have that moment where some have left and some have gone and some have died, and so.
And then Brian dies, doesn't he? Does he die in that?
No.
No, am I making that up?
You're making that up.
No, maybe he should. Just going to put that
Because remember
out
in the
there.
deleted scene, the adopted son comes and meets Brian because he's been tending to the plants.
Oh, right. Yes. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. So I want to know from the people who listen, knowing all of this, that if you travel with the Doctor, chances are pretty good you're going to end up in another dimension, whether time or space, or die. Would you still do it?
Or memory wiped.
Or your memory wiped. Yeah, I mean, that appears to be a one-off. I don't know if we have any other memory wipes, but yeah. Would you do it, darling? Would you go with him?
Oh, yeah, sure, yeah. Leave you, because you never know. I'd be back the next day.
Look, I've got it.
Tuesday.
I've got it right here. You're never leaving companion.
I'm trying to think. I can't remember off the top of my head. I almost want to say Jamie, second Doctor, gets memory wiped, but I might be wrong on that one.
Oh, we'll have to go back and check. Yeah.
So, but anyway, I think, the risk is what it is. Get the taste of the TARDIS.
And you jump in.
Yep.
Interesting.
Well, I'd have to be like, I have to check with my wife first.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'd be the Amy and Rory,
Right.
obviously.
Oh, wait, so we'd have a time head for our baby?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that makes sense. Finn could come along.
That's our cat.
That is our cat, yes. He's very excited about the idea of being included.
Could it be modified so he's like a canine?
No.
What would be his?
He would just be our cat, our pet
Fin
cat.
9.
Not Fin 9. Stop trying to turn my cat into a robot. We've talked about this.
Well, what are we going to be talking about next week, darling?
Well, I think next week, and this is one of those that requires a lot of prep, so we have been in the beginnings of it.
Is this speaking of companions?
Speaking of companions, I think that next week we're going to spend some time with the face of Bo.
Captain Jack Harkness.
Yes, whom we've just recently, in our Torchwood rewatch, gotten to see naked. Again,
I was about to say, that's not a...
Because that's Jack's thing.
Yep.
Quite possibly that's John Barrowman's thing, let's
yes.
be honest. So yeah, we're going to look at Jack in both Doctor Who and Torchwood. And see what his story looks like.
Yeah. Well, until next week, darling, I will never leave you, no matter what happens in all of time and space.
Aw, as long as I get to bring the cat.
This is BBC Television.